It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi, when you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
Welcome back inside the Saville Community Sport Centre in the south side of Edmonton. It is Consolation Semifinal number 2 of the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship. We have the host, Alberta Pandas, taking on their arch rivals from down the highway, the Calgary Dinos. I'm Mark Majot. Please be joined alongside Eric Fawcett. And Eric, neither of these teams expect to be playing in today's games. Let's focus on Alberta first. They had their opportunities last night, but they fell 65-57 to Laval. This is still a very talented team, but still a bit of disappointment that they're not playing tomorrow night.
Oh, I think so. That has to be the case. And you always wonder in games like this, who's going to be up for it, who's going to have the energy. Well, you mentioned the first thing right away. This is a rivalry game, Battle of Alberta, and still being on your home floor like Alberta is. I mean, we're in a loud building that's filling up rapidly. I don't think this is going to be your kind of regular consolation side semifinal. I think there's going to be some juice. I think it's going to be a pretty competitive game.
Yeah, and we mentioned in the first game today how it maybe can be tricky to find the motivation to play in this, but I think you hit the nail on the head that this is a rivalry game. You're very familiar with your opponent, and regardless of level, sport, time of year, Edmonton versus Calgary is always a big deal. Edmonton always loves to beat Calgary and vice versa, and if you're the Dinos, they were the at-large berth. They ran into a buzzsaw yesterday against Saskatchewan. They would love to send the host team packing today with a victory.
Look, and we don't need to get into it, but the fact of the matter is there's some people who don't even think that Calgary should be here. They got that last at-large berth, that there was a couple of teams that were arguably worth getting that spot, but it's Calgary here. They got nothing to lose. I mean, if you can go knock off a rival on their home court, like that's a lot of fun. That's something that you can say, hey, we did belong here all along. So I think that there's going to be motivation there. And yeah, again, if you're on the Alberta side, you know, does it suck to lose in the first round of a tournament you're hosting? Absolutely. But you know what sucks worse? You know, losing in the consolation side. So yeah. I don't think that effort level or competition level or intensity is going to be an issue here.
And both these teams will be returning the majority of their roster. Calgary doesn't have a single fifth-year eligibility player, so they can return essentially their entire roster. Shea McCusker and Jenna Harp, their Canada West career is coming to a close, but Alberta and Calgary can really run both these teams back. So this is a matchup we'll see probably next season, maybe in the playoffs as well, and who knows, maybe in the Final Eight again next season. So this is, you know, we hate to look too far ahead, but this is almost a preview of the 2024-25 season, and it seems so weird hard to be talking about the 24-25 season.
Yeah, and I think even like you mentioned with the rivalry, I think it could be anything. You know, throw two people on a game of checkers and put Edmonton Laundry on one team and Calgary Laundry on the other. I think there's going to be people cheering for their city. So this is going to be, so like you said, they're going to see each other in Canada West play next year, probably the playoffs, and it could be more. You always want to have an edge. You always want to be the team that won the most recent one. And if you're Calgary and you can say, hey, we got the most recent one on your home floor in a full building, that's something you can hold over. So again, I can't wait for the tip.
Calgary was able to keep it close in the first quarter yesterday against Saskatchewan, but in the end the Huskies were able to run away with an 85-54 victory. We will take a quick pause for our national anthem, and then we'll be back with starting lineups and keys to the game. Consolation semifinal number 2 between the Pandas and Dinos. You're watching CBC Sports. even though this is the Consolation semifinal, don't tell that to all the fans that have still continued to file in here to the Saville Community Sport Centre. The alumni was in full force last night, as were the rest of the fans. A ton of green and gold. And as Eric mentioned, Calgary looking to spoil the party. Let's take a look at the starting five for both teams, starting with the Calgary Dinos. No changes from their starting five yesterday that fell to the Huskies. It will be number 0, Maya Proctor. Number 1, Miriam Cohn. I thought Cohn had a great game last night. She's a third-team All-Star in Canada West, averaging 13 points per game. Emily Collen gets the start. Lilia Skumatova and Louise Rouse. Rouse averaged just under 16 points per game in the regular season, was a first-team All-Star. Eric, what is the key to victory for this Dino team tonight?
They play very fast and they shoot a lot of threes, and you can kind of see when they start to get going, things can really snowball for their opponents. So I think they've got to play fast. I think that they've got to do exactly what they do. Let those threes fly, play loose. You go on a big run, you get the building quiet, and that's how you can string together a win.
And now the starting five for the home side. The Alberta Panthers wearing their white uniforms with green and gold trim. It will be Shay McCusker in her 5th year with this program, starting one of her last games here at home. Jenna Harp, number 4. Number 7, Riley Semenuk gets the start. Number 13, Claire Signatovich, the reigning U Sports and Canada West Defensive Player of the Year. And number 16, Jaden Tanner. Jaden Tanner had a career-high 13 points last night. I thought she was outstanding. What's the key to victory for Alberta tonight?
Look, we might get into it in a little bit, but the Panthers are down a couple of guards that are very good defenders on the ball. So there's some players that are going to be stepping up into some bigger roles. They have to control things defensively because the unfortunate reality is shooting has been a little bit of an issue for this team. Offense has occasionally been an issue for this team. Their identity has been on the defensive end, and right now they're down 2 very good defenders on the perimeter. So who's going to step up and keep that defensive culture that Scott Edwards has built, that he's recruited to? They'll need to keep that up with a little bit of a different rotation.
And those injuries Eric was referring to, Kia Istanai-Hediohanma has been dealing with an injury for the last couple of weeks. She played in a limited role last night. She is not dressed. And a bit of a surprise, Morgan Harris also dealing with an injury. She is not in the lineup tonight. So down 2 very big guards as we are underway as Signatovich controls the tip. Consolation semifinal number 2. The winner gets a date with St. Mary's tomorrow afternoon. As Shay McCusker up and under, defended well by Proctor, and here come the Dinos looking to strike first. Collan, that is off the mark. Nice rebound there for Tanner. Tanner missed a bulk of time this year with an injury, and nice to see her bounce back. Semenuk hands it off to McCusker, to Jenna Harp. Harp, jump shot, off the mark. Rouse tips it, but it should, it's going to be Dino's ball. 40 seconds into this one.
Have to think that Harp's going to play a big role here, creating offense just like we saw there. Can get to her pull-up, get to her mid-range game. That's going to be the offensive creation that the Pandas need from her.
Miriam Cohn, leading scorer last night for the Dinos in a losing effort. Cohn, nice pass to Proctor, and she is called for the travel. She thought there should have been a foul, but good job there by the Pandas to disrupt that offensive play.
Coming off that ball screen, just an absolute laser there from Cohn. That was a beautiful pass, and unfortunately it was a travel, but you can see just how special Cohn is as a player. You mentioned her performance last night, and maybe worth noting, also from Edmonton, so I'm sure she's playing in front of a lot of familiar people today as well.
Signatovich, a little too strong. Skumatova, keeps it in bounds, and here come the Dinos. And a turnover there by Calgary. And while this is a very pro-Alberta crowd, as we were in Edmonton, I noticed the Dinos women's soccer team is in attendance, making their presence felt, sitting right behind the Dino bench. There's still a lot of red and yellow. Over in volleyball, the Golden Bears have won the first set of the Canada West final against Trinity Western University, and Signatovich gets the first points of the evening. It's a very busy week here at the university. Usually volleyball would be played right here in this gym, but obviously the U Sports National Championship has moved them over to another location. Cohn. Rouse being guarded by the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, and another travel. Proctor is guilty of that one.
Yeah, we're seeing the way the game is officiated here early. That's the second travel call. Also had the discontinued dribble, or the carry as it's often called. And we're seeing it's going to be pretty tight, and the guards will have to adjust. But right now it's lost a little bit of flow in the game with these turnovers.
3 straight turnovers. Is Alberta looking to capitalize on that? Shane McCusker hands it off to Riley Semenuk. Semenuk with speed. Has Tanner cutting in traffic. Too strong. Cohn there for the rebound. And the speed that Miriam Cohn has is on full display. She turns on the Jets, zips it over to Skumatova. Her 3 is too strong. Ends up right in the hands of 5th-year forward Shea McCusker. Almost has that stolen by Colin. And it's going to be Panda's ball. Last touch by Calgary. And a quick substitution here as Reese Hall will check in for the first time for Alberta. Signatovic, program leader in blocks, and she still has 1 more year to go. Jenna Harp, playing one of her final games after a great Panda career. Tanner's 3 is good, and Jaden picks up where she left off last night with a big 3-point bucket. Alberta leads by 5. Cohn to Proctor. Proctor's 3 is going to miss the mark. Reese Hall fighting with Rouse for it, out of bounds, and it will be Alberta ball. So a really nice start here for the Pandas as Ella Rees is going to check in. A member of the all-rookie team in Canada West. Let's take a look at that 3-point shot by Jaden Tanner.
Confident take, and you see they were really looking for her to get a 3-pointer on that. They had her kind of ghost into an open look before, wasn't there, and then she gets it on a reversal, and you got to felt like she was getting a 3 up no matter what on that possession. You can see why she was ready.
Signatovic, pass off the mark. Skumatova read that perfectly. She's going to hand it off to Cohn. With a corner, bumped by Jenna Harp. I think 2 of the 3 officials called that, so Jenna's going to pick up the first foul of the game 3 minutes into this one. You know, Eric, we're spoiled. We have one of the best broadcast locations in Canada West. Everything's so great, but just to our broadcast right, we have what looks like the WWE Titantron. It is massive, and it is fantastic for replays. So a little bit easier to do our job during the Final 8 here with the added reinforcements.
It really looks great, and you can see on the baseline right behind the inbounder, they've got those LED screens. It makes me think a lot of European basketball, where in the European leagues where it surrounds the entire court. Maybe that's next Final 8, but really just a great job by the host here, University of Alberta, making for an incredible setting. And there's Cohn, who has just shown all her abilities so far as a ball handler, as someone who can play in transition, and there as a shooter.
And that sends a bolt of electricity through the Dinos bench as they get on the board for the first time. Miriam Cohn loses the handle, however, last touch by a Panda, so it will remain Calgary ball.
Like Jaden Tanner comes in flying in to blow up that dribble handoff, making everything difficult. And again, that's what Alberta needs to do. That is their identity, be disruptive on the defensive end.
Call in to Proctor. An unorthodox attempt there, however, doesn't matter. She draws the foul. And that will send Maya Proctor to the line for the first time tonight, looking to tie this game.
And it was a little bit of that unorthodox take that drew the foul. You'll see she's going with her left hand, but the last second she puts it in her inside hand, her right hand, just to kind of scoop it up. And I'm not sure the defender was ready for it. So that's something you throw in unorthodox timing, use the inside hand there. That's you can draw some fouls. So that's a pretty savvy take there from a veteran guard.
She goes 1 for 2, so Alberta still holding on to a 1-point advantage as Jenna Harp moves it to Signatovic. Finds Rees. Harp in the corner. Tanner 3, and that's going to be short. Colin there for the rebound. Good job by Tanner there to not make it easy on Colin. She zips it up to Skubatova. Over to Proctor to Cohn. Cohn, no look dish, no one home. Great job there by Skumatova to create a turnover, or to prevent a turnover, excuse me. Cohn being watched by Hall. Goes off the leg of Hall. Cohn's going to have to move fast and out of bounds, and it's going to be Panda's ball. Good job there by Reese Hall. .5:44 left in the first. Riley Semenuk checks back in. She finds Jenna Harp. Semenuk hands it off to Rees. Ella Rees with the layup, no good. Cohn there for the rebound. Proctor. Last touch by Alberta, so will remain Calgary ball. And Eric, I know we're just 4.5 minutes into this one, but it kind of seems like both teams are just going with their starting fives.
Yeah, and it's something where I think from calling Pandas games, I know that normally Scott Edwards is keeping you really busy, as we see the law play that almost falls in, keeps you busy with so many substitutions. But I think whether it be a shorter bench or a feel of the game, he's not going as deep, at least this early. We'll see if that ends up being the case for much of the game.
Harp fires it to Riley Semenuk. Riley curls, loses the handle, but ends up in the hands of Hall. Signatovic draws a foul as Emily Collin is going to pick up the first foul, and that will bring us to a media timeout. Midway through the first quarter, 5-4 Pandas lead. You're watching the Consolation Semifinal, the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship on CBC Sports.
Hey U Sports fans, check out shop.usports.ca for this week's promotional item from the Nike Team Collection. Visitez le shop.usport.ca pour en profiter de la promotion de la semaine de la collection Nike Team.
They don't do it for the likes or for the shares. They do it for the fun of it, for the thrill, for the camaraderie, for the memories. CBC Sports, just because they love it.
They're going to look inside the Pandas huddle. Scott Edwards in his 18th season behind the Pandas bench. Dealing with a bit of a shorter bench. There you see Kia Isnahediohano is in the middle wearing a Pandas hoodie. She's not in the lineup, nor is Morgan Harris. There you see the Dinos soccer team trying to make a little noise in enemy territory. Patches tries to answer back. Terrific turnout on this Friday evening. Busy weekend here at the Saville Community Sport Centre on top of Final 8. There's lots of youth basketball being played. Great time to be a Hoops fan. March is always a great month for basketball fans. Jenna Harp to Rees. Signatovic, 6 to go in the shot clock, and she is called for the travel. So a turnover there, and it will result in Calgary's ball. They look to take the lead. Cohn to Collin, to Proctor. Back to Cohn. Cohn. Bumped by Riley Semenuk to Proctor. And another travel, so back-to-back travels. Tight officiating in this one.
Yeah, I think that's 4 or 5, especially if you count the carry earlier. But hey, it's consistent, and you know, especially that one, I think is again maybe just a little bit of nerves, and you see that little break in the defense where you might have a driving lane and you don't get the ball down fast enough. So I still think both teams are trying to find a little bit of consistency, a little bit of rhythm offensively.
Hall for 3, that's good. Not known for a three-point shooting, but don't tell that to her. Big bucket there, put the Pandas up by 4. Skumatova with a response of her own. Teams exchanging travels and then exchanging three-point shots. Harp blows a tire but still is able to move it to Rees, who finds Signatovic. Claire goes up, uses every inch of her frame to her advantage. She's got 4 points. and puts it back up to a 3-point advantage for Alberta. Errant pass, no one there. Now Alberta's going to get the ball right back.
You'll see that a little bit from Calgary. I mean, they will throw the ball around from time to time, but you've also seen on the previous possession, they push the ball really fast and get a wide open three because of it. So that's kind of the fun of watching this Calgary team is like, is there going to be a little bit of chaos at times? Like, yeah, absolutely. But also you're going to see threes get up. You're going to see fast pace of play. And you maybe with a couple more shots falling, you're starting to see the rhythm come in.
These two teams are very familiar with one another. Last met in the Canada West quarterfinal, in which Alberta was victorious. Alberta ended up falling to Saskatchewan in the Canada West gold medal matchup. As Saskatchewan's in action tomorrow and for semifinal Saturday. We hope you join us tomorrow night for those matchups. Obviously not the results the Panthers were hoping for, but you know, we talk a lot about growth in programs and individuals. As Riley Semenuk on the baseline steps out of bounds, it'll be Calgary ball. I was just going to say, Jaden Tanner, third year with the program, she is obviously in just a game and a quarter, has really made her presence felt and felt like she's really taken a leap over the last game and change. She'll be a big part of this program moving forward.
I mean, what a time for her career high in points last night. And then followed it up with really good action already, and that's going to be the out of bounds and something that, Mark, you've called so many times in this gym.
Yeah, we've seen it. It creeps up on everyone eventually. Riley Semenuk takes a seat as Bridget Olsen checks in. Another first-year Panda. I'm always blown away with some of these first-year players are playing with such confidence, head up, playing like wily veterans out there. McCusker, who is a wily old veteran. Tanner. Off the mark, and here come the Dinos. Gaich. Strong pass over to Colin. So strong it knocked her over, and looked like it could have been a bit of a dangerous play. It looked like she collided with the bench, but she gets up quickly. So some errant passing, maybe a little too much energy early on in this one.
I think so, but like I said, I mean, the Dinos are going to live with that. They know they want to play fast. They want to push things, and they'll live with some of those errors. But with a really nice backdoor cut here on the other end from the Pandas.
Jaden Tanner, 5 points on the night, puts her team up by 5. Colin, and that's a travel. So this has been a problem early on for the Dinos.
And that one, I mean, you can chalk that one up to defense. That isn't an issue as we see that backdoor cut, tight window, and tough finish on the reverse. But you saw on that last play, really good pick and roll defense from the Pandas. The tag takes away the roll. The ball handler thought it was going to be there. Suddenly it's taken away. A little bit of hesitation, and the feet kind of stumble. So good defense there from the Pandas.
Olsen to Harp. Harp. Tanner for 3. Short. Oz there for the rebound. Zips it up to Story. Pollyanna Story is coming back from injury this tournament. Played her first minutes in a couple months last night. Didn't look like there was a ton of rust as she fires a dart to Sydney Milam, and Milam's blocked by McCusker. Olsen runs right into Cone, and it ends up in the hands of Harp. 2 minutes to go in the first. Hall calling for it in the paint, spins, fires off the glass. Nice play by Reese Hall. Opened up a 7-point lead for the Pandas.
Started with a really tough catch and transition.
Tanner bumps Cone from behind. And now Hall hits the deck. Chaos, malfunction at the junction, and Tanner ends up with it. Finds Jenna Harp, wide open for 3. There it is. Timeout called by Calgary. And Jenna Harp's been waiting a long time for a 3 to fall. And that puts her team up by double digits.
You can tell how good that one felt. And again, just chaos. Broken play to try to get back in transition and match up is nearly impossible. Finds Harp, who's more than willing, and you see that fist pump. Yes, like you said, she's been waiting for that one to fall. A little bit of a breath of relief. But I mentioned before the game, this is usually Calgary who can string together, create turnovers, hit threes, and things can start to snowball for their opponent. right now this is the Pandas that's doing it. This game was just a second ago. It felt like one possession, and suddenly turnover, start, 3 start falling, and we're looking at a double-digit deficit already for Calgary.
The crowd is into it. 1:36 remaining in the first. Alberta out in front, 17-7. So you get a look at the Pandas bench. Went 14-6 in conference play. As I mentioned, took home silver in Canada West. Last year, took home gold in Canada West and a bronze at Nationals. Won't be able to replicate that this year, however. Given a treat for the home fans that have packed into the gym tonight. We talked about it a little bit last night, Eric, but I want to give full marks to the Pandas alumni. They have been incredible this entire weekend. They have been loud. They have been the biggest champions of this team all season long. They honored the 1999 national champion team last night. And watching the current Pandas kind of look at that 99 team, really special the connection that the University of Alberta has with their alumni. Oz.
Well, I think when you look at winning programs, you see that connection from different eras, and you also, as you start to build a program, is a program built on defensive culture here for the last, probably since about that team. You see that Scott Edwards recruits to that, and these younger teams that can look at the alumni and hear stories about what it takes to win a championship, what it means to build up the pillars of this kind of defense and pressure. You start to see the results of that. That's why we have a full gym here for a Pandas game here at home hosting the Final 8, is because of building blocks set by teams like that.
Nice give and go there between McCusker and Hall, however. Took one step too many and another travel. We have now had, that's been the 8th forced. The Pandas were excellent at forcing 24-second violations last night, and that is the 8th they have forced in 5 quarters. So talk about that foundation built on defense. Rouse spins, fade away. Nice shot there by Rouse, however, doesn't get the friendly bounce. Cone gets bumped from behind by Hall. And that's going to be foul number 1 on Reese. And Cone to inbound.
Doesn't feel like Cone has even left the floor much, if at all, in this first quarter. She's such an impressive player, and to be so young and already play like such a mature guard, that is huge for this Dinos team.
Oz off the mark. Here comes Olsen. Olsen hits the floor. And a foul called. It's going to go against Gaich. So Melissa Gaich picks up her first foul. And Alberta has a chance to extend their lead. They lead by 10 with 31 seconds left in the first. And now a foul before we could even get going here, as Gaich picks up 2 quick fouls.
Didn't look like much. I mean, a little bit of physicality trying to stay with the cutter through the middle of the lane on that baseline out of bounds play. But again, the officials have been consistent, so we'll see on these baseline out of bounds plays, especially where you've got to generally be so physical with those cutters. We'll see how it's called the rest of the way.
Harp's shot too strong, but McCusker fighting for the rebound. Oz ends up with it. There's 2 white jerseys, and it's going to be Dino's ball based on the possession arrow. Shot clock turned off, 21 seconds left in the first. Alberta leads by 10.
Kind of feels like a big possession here in a 17-7 game. I mean, there's obviously so much action, but pretty tough to come back to your huddle with just 7 points on the board, and especially a crowd like this, if you don't want to get a big stop by Alberta right there at the buzzer. So let's see what Calgary can do.
Cone, shot clock turned off. Cone. Oz calling for it. Nice pass to Rouse. She goes up. Good defense there by Alberta. They're going to have to move. Olsen finds McCusker quickly. Tanner at the buzzer. Good! Jaden Tanner has been red hot all nationals. And that shot right there is evidence. 20-7 Pandas lead after the first.
It's just everything going right. as Calgary doesn't hold for the last shot. You can see the way she admires the ball in the air. The moment it left her hand with perfect backspin, looks like she knew it was going to fall, and just everything going the Pandas' way right now.
20-7, the Pandas lead after the first quarter. You're watching the U Sports Consolation Semifinal Women 8 Women's Basketball Championship on CBC Sports.
The exchange was awesome. Yeah.
You have the power to inspire and impact the climate.
There you get a look at the Calgary Dinos huddle. They find themselves down by 13. Jaden Tanner with a game-high 8 points. Hit a three-pointer at the buzzer. Calgary struggling to get any type of momentum going on offense.
Yeah, it's almost funny to pull a number like the one I'm about to, because there really is only 7 points on the board, but 0 of those in the paint for Calgary. They're 0 for 4 in the paint. And for Alberta, it's 8 points, and that's usually where Alberta lives. And three-point shooting has not exactly been a strength for the Pandas throughout the season. But right now they start 4 for 6, and again, I think if you're Calgary, you're just trying to wonder, okay, do we need to push things a little bit faster? That's where we've been at our best, taking early shots in transition, and that's kind of been their season. And it's also kind of was that first quarter. That's when they put points on the board, is when they were able to push things up and get some 3 points opportunities. But really, it just seemed like everything was going Alberta's way, from the opening tip with a couple of loose balls that bounced their way to a bit of a heave there at the end of the first quarter that caught nothing but nets. It's everything's going the Pandas' way right now. We'll see if Calgary, who does force a lot of turnovers, can be pretty disruptive. Let's see if they can get back into the game that way.
Olsen underway in the second quarter. Claire Signatovic, Tanner. Elise Too Good checks in for the first time tonight. Olsen for 3. Pretty much the same spot. Tanner hit that three-pointer, no good, and Oz with speed tries to bully that one through. That shot's off the mark, and Olsen with her head up, sprinting down the floor. Nice pass to Too Good. With a bit of room on the baseline. Riley Semenuk steps out of bounds, and it will be Calgary ball. Oz. Back to Cone. Calgary just 2 for 11 from the field tonight. And now Oz returns the favor, and she steps out of bounds. So both teams really struggling with the boundaries tonight.
I mean, we should mention as well, something that jumped off the stat sheet in the first quarter is 11 turnovers from Calgary. And there they force one there themselves, which is what they've done really well at all year long, turning them into threes.
Call in a little too strong on that one as Olsen went flying by the player she was supposed to defend. Tanner, she gets called for the travel. A bit of a clunky start in the second quarter here. A couple turnovers, a couple out of bounds. Cone. That gets deflected right into the hands of Riley Semenuk, and here comes Tanner with speed. She loses it, and Calgary content to let that just roll out of bounds. And it's going to be Dinos ball.
And I mean, a lot of these turnovers are in not threatening positions. I mean, at least this one here was in transition, looking to push. But a lot of these are travels near the middle third of the floor, or we saw the Calgary's last turnover just on a kind of routine pass within their offense. It's both teams are really looking to get some rhythm here, but particularly Calgary with only 7 points on the board, and things are just kind of going from bad to worse for them, as now a moving screen on the offensive end is once again a turnover.
Yeah, Calgary having a hard time getting any type of momentum going here. Down by 13 here in the second quarter. Riley Semenuk. Ella Rees in the corner. Stop me if you've heard this one before. 13 possessions and 9 turnovers. It's not what you want.
And that will be an early timeout here for Calgary, who I think has had enough of the turnovers and said, okay, we need to get things settled up here.
So Damian Jennings, in his 12th season, calls a timeout. As we mentioned, kind of a clunky second quarter so far in this one. What's Calgary got to do to knock themselves out of this perceived funk here?
Yeah, I think they just need to do things with a little more decisiveness. Again, it just seems like when they're getting into their just kind of regular continuity and motion stuff, that's where we're seeing them maybe not passing the ball with a lot of purpose, and that's where we're seeing them throwing the ball away and what I'll call nothing plays. I mean, it's always one thing if you're trying to throw a bounce pass inside for a layup, you turn that ball over, it's almost like a missed shot. You know, it's not saying it's the same as a missed shot, but at least you can say, okay, if that pass made it through, it's going to be a bucket. I feel like so many of these turnovers have just been on nothing plays that weren't really threatening. So I wonder if they have to start to get into a little bit more structure in the half court. And again, I'm not suggesting they need to slow it down. I do think pushing and transition is going to be what's best for them. That's where they're at the best. But if they don't have anything initially, I think they might have to get into a couple more set play calls, because right now, just out of their continuities, it just doesn't seem like they have any rhythm.
Almost set to get back underway in the second quarter. Neither team has scored in the second quarter. Alberta still leads 20-7. As Alberta, one of the top defensive teams, not just in Canada West, but in the entire nation, is Miriam Cohn. Rouse, blocked by Too Good, and then Rouse steps out of bounds. Nice job there by Elise Too Good.
Yeah, pretty good offense, even better defense. I don't mind the play at all to get an isolation in the high post, but really good defensive play individually.
Harp to Too Good. Rees loves to shoot the three. We'll see if they try to get it to Rees. Signatovic from the free throw line off the mark. Story zips it quickly to Colin. Back to Story. Rouse for three from straight on, rattles around, doesn't fall. Good job there by Colin to get the offensive rebound, and a better job there by Too Good to deflect that. Two red jerseys around her. She moves it quickly to Jenna Harp. Harp with her head up. Burst of speed, goes one-on-one, spins, fires from the Canada West logo off the mark, but she gets her own rebound. Ella Rees for three. That one is too strong. Rebound gobbled up there by Oz. Riley Semenuk fights and gets it. Claire Signatovic one-on-one against Cone. Spins, misses, gets her own rebound, and puts that one back and has a chance for the three-point play.
Again, these broken plays from Calgary that are just ending up in the hands of Alberta underneath the hoop. One flyby, gets the offensive rebound and a putback, and that's where Signatovic all year long has been so good finishing through contact.
And a quick substitution here for the Pandas as Jenna Karich will sub in for Elise Too Good. Signatovic at the line, her first trip tonight. Misses, but Karich in perfect position to collect that rebound, and Alberta regains possession. Riley Semenuk makes a nice move to her left, spins, fires off the mark. Oz rips that board down, and here come the Dinos. Still looking for their first points of the quarter. Miriam Cohn going one-on-one against the defensive player of the year. Doesn't score, but she draws a foul. And that will send Miriam Cohn to the line for the first time tonight.
Man, she is so electric, and you can see that crossover here. Quick in and out into a crossover, gets to her left hand. I thought it was about to fall too high off the glass, but to get to the line is huge. And if you can get her in those semi-transition opportunities, that's a great way to go. As you see picture in picture, she does miss the first one. You just kind of feel at this point they just need something to break the seal here, and maybe it can be the second free throw. But I really like that take to the rim from Cone.
0 for 2. And here come the Pandas now. Ella Reese to Jenna Harp. Harp with a lane. Too strong on that one. Cone with the rebound. Her fourth. And tries to go coast to coast. Colin. Nobody home. That's Jenna Harp, the floor general, directing traffic. Riley Semenuk. Breeze. In the corner. Harp for three. Look at that. Was partially blocked. And not just partially, as a foul's called. Courtney Oz picks up foul number 2. And that will send Jenna Harp to the line. Her first trip this evening. Her team leads by 15 points. Jenna struggled from the free throw line last night, hoping to get back on the right track. Hits her first one. And she'll be shooting 3. Two for 2. Can be a little bit tricky. You know, free throws are something you've done obviously your entire career, but it's a little different when the gym goes dead silent. Nobody lines up. Jenna Harp goes 3 for 3.
It's funny you mentioned that. That's something that you really notice about this level of basketball. That's like kind of unique, where a lot of teams don't line up for the first free throw. And I'm just like, if you're not used to that, and it just like makes a variable change, but it's something you don't see at a lot of other college basketball levels. It's kind of something that's a little bit unique here to U Sports and the women. So it's funny you mentioned that. But yeah, this atmosphere is fantastic here. It's at Saville, but it's certainly not a regular type atmosphere.
Bridget Olson. Calgary hasn't scored in this second quarter. It's been all Alberta. Hall hands it off to Tanner. Five to go in the shot clock. Hall, 3. Puts it up off the glass. Too strong there as Pollyanna Story in perfect position to collect that, and here comes Calgary. Maya Proctor. Underhand pass to Cone. Cone back to Proctor, down low. Nice play there by Calgary. Louise Rouse finishes it. And they have their first points of the quarter. Louise Rouse showing why she was a Canada West first team All-Star.
Hey, it took a long time to get there, finally get a bucket, but it was a real nice one to get that, hit that pick and roll from Cone, and then that extra pass. That was really nice, and hopefully that's just what they need. And here's where Calgary is really good, here in semi-transition.
Cone, 3. Rattles around, doesn't fall. And then a collision between Skumatova and looks like Reese Hall, excuse me. And a foul called on Skumatova. Under 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Alberta leads 25-9. Bridget Olson. To Harp. Bit of a lane open up for Harp, and she collides with Cone. And Miriam Cone picks up foul number 2, and Jenna Harp will go back to the line.
That's some pretty vintage Scott Edwards basketball to kind of create, again, that double gap where a player can drive without any fear of anyone being able to dig down, and it just really puts defenders in tough spots, having to guard downhill drives one-on-one. And of course you get someone like Jenna Harp who's so content to drive so physically. It can be a challenge.
Jenna Harp 5 for 5 from the free throw line tonight. Alberta leads by 18. Pollyanna Story for 3. Olsen there for the rebound. As Alberta in control of this one. Offensive foul called. Reese Hall, the guilty party.
Reese Hall had the mismatch. Cone had to guard her in the post, and again, I think sometimes as a forward, you see that guard on you, your eyes get pretty big, and just maybe a little bit too ambitious carving out space.
Cone. Three points on the night so far, 1 for 2 from beyond the arc, looking to add to that. Proctor. Story. Off the side of the backboard. Story gets her own rebound. Nice dish there to Cone. Cone being guarded by Tanner. 5 seconds to go. Tries to force it to Skumatova. Excuse me, that's Rouse. But a foul is called against Jaden Tanner.
Cone has really good vision getting the ball into rollers after ball screens, and there almost would have been a bucket. Almost a good foul there from Alberta. Could have potentially saved a bucket on the roll, but that is, again, where Cone is so good, and you wonder if Calgary can get her in some more ball screens, if that can be successful. You see one here.
Cone for 3. Misses to the left. Shea McCusker there for the rebound. Here comes Harp. Harp with a game-high 8 points with Jaden Tanner. Cone there for the rebound. Cone has 5 rebounds. We're not even halfway through this game yet. Nice dish there to Rouse, and Rouse makes no mistake in tight.
You'd love to see that for Calgary because, again, that's why they're here. They got to the final 8 by being so good in transition and creating steals just like that.
Cone with a steal and fires it over to Story. Her 3-pointer is going to be short. Too good there for the rebound. Hands it off to Tanner. 3 minutes remaining in the half. Too good. It's called for the travel. And that will bring us to a timeout. With 2:53 remaining, Alberta leads 27-11. So really not a lot of offense in the second quarter, just 7-4. But if you're an Alberta supporter, I think you have to be pleased with the way the first quarter and change has gone.
Yeah, whenever you can go, pretty cold for much of a quarter and still be winning by 16, it means you did something right. So if you're Calgary, I think you're happy that you found something defensively. And hey, I think to a point you're like, did Alberta hit some huge shots in the first quarter? Absolutely, but they're probably not going to make some of those tough ones the rest of the game. But the question right now is just offense. They've got to find it. They had a couple buckets in transition, and but that in the half court, it's just been very difficult for them to get anything going. And you have to wonder what in the timeout is being drawn up here to try to break down this Pandas defense that's been so good.
That's been the one consistent thing about the Pandas really since I've been around the program, and I know Doug McLean, our regular broadcast partner, mentioned, just play such staunch defense. That's really been their calling card for years and years and years, and teams have been trying to crack it, but when you have, the likes of the reigning back-to-back U Sports Defensive Player of the Year in Claire Signatovic, just such size on this Pandas team, they really make life difficult on everyone.
Well, and I mean, it's worth noting that the Pandas are doing this right now with 2 of their best perimeter defenders on the bench with injuries. And that just tells you how deep they are in the backcourt with perimeter defenders, and then, again, how Scott Edwards recruits to that style. It's something he looks for consistently, so you can see it. Even when they go down the bench with guards, it's more of the same thing. It's a bunch of players that can defend the ball, really guard far out from the rim, and they're having success so far tonight.
Ella Reese picks up her second foul. Alberta's still not in, her first foul. Alberta not in the bonus yet with 2:33 remaining. Story in the corner for 3, put a little too much on that. Harp with the rebound, that's her second. Moves it quickly to Elise Toogood. She goes coast to coast. Nice touch there, and she has her first points of the game.
Yeah, maybe got hit on the head without a foul call, but really good transition there from Alberta.
Proctor. Skumatova. Rouse takes a look, launches a three, and that is good. And now Calgary's starting to feel their way back into this one. Big three-pointer there by Louise Rouse. Riley Semenuk to Harp. Semenuk being watched by Gaich. Out of bounds, and it will be Calgary ball with 1:46 remaining. Alberta still ahead by 15. Pollyanna Story, in her third season with the Dinos, will be a big part of this team moving forward. Gaich to Story to Rouse for three. That one comes up short. Size mismatch between Proctor and Olsen. However, the foul is called against Maya Proctor, and that will send Alberta to the line. You look just over the back here. Looks like about a 6-inch difference between those two players, but that's going to send Bridget Olsen to the line.
You're seeing the Dinos getting some good clean looks from three, and I don't mind them taking them. All season long, you take a lot of threes. Yeah, you're going to go cold for them sometimes, and you've just got to hope that are there a couple of possessions where you can get 2 or 3 in a row, or hit 3 out of 5, or something like that to get back in the game.
Olsen goes 2 for 2. 90 seconds left in the half. Story to Gaich. Nice pass to Proctor in the paint. She can't finish. Jenna Hart, playing inspired basketball tonight, turns on the Jets as she gets it across half to Olsen. Rees. McCusker is looking to set a pick. Rees, a long 2-point shot, misses to the right into the hands of Skumatova. Here comes Calgary. Under a minute remaining. Gaich. Rouse collides with a pair of Pandas. And Jenna Harp is unfortunately going to pick up the foul. And that will send Louise Rouse to the line, her first trip tonight.
You see the pick and roll, no tag, or the tag is late, I should say. And the previous possession, the Dinos got a roll and missed the layup at the rim. This time it was almost a bucket, had to be a desperation foul at the end for the Pandas. So again, starting to maybe find something that works in the half court here for the Dinos, which is huge because it's been a little bit of a struggle. So back-to-back possessions, hit the roll, get something at the rim, something they can go back to.
Louise Rouse has 8 points so far. Makes it 9. She averaged just under 16 points per game, along with 8 rebounds during the regular season for Calgary. Canada West first team All-Star. Olsen. Too good. Gets it right back. 30 seconds left. Shea McCusker. Riley Semenuk. 5 to go. Nice moves there by Riley off the glass and in. Her first points of the evening. Shot clock turned off. Calgary will play for a last shot. Skumatova. Gaich. 5 seconds left. Story. Proctor in the corner. 3 left. Rouse. Spin. Fires. Off the mark, and that will do it for the first half. Alberta continues to lead 33-16. And the Pandas are really frustrating the Dinos so far.
Yeah, and you can see that a little bit with the body language and energy level there for Calgary. On the bench, there's it's a quiet-looking bunch at the moment, and then you can see that is countered here on the other sideline with Alberta, where there's a lot of smiles, a lot of high fives, a lot of laughing, and hey, for good reason. That is a half that went just about as well as possible for Alberta, particularly given the situation where they're down a couple of key guards.
Alberta outscoring the Dinos 13-9 in that second quarter. Looking at some of the stats through the first two, Jenna Harp and Jaden Tanner, 8 points apiece. Louise Rouse has a game-high 9 points for Calgary. 18 turnovers for the Dinos, 14 for Alberta, but Alberta has 15 points off those turnovers. You can argue that's been the difference so far in the game. Alberta shooting 41% in the paint, but Calgary 2 for 12 in tight, just 16%. Also, Alberta is getting more depth scoring. They have 9 points off the bench, and Calgary has 0 points off of the bench. So really the story is it was all Pandas in that first half.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, again, the Pandas are known for their defense. They end up making some, I don't want to say uncharacteristic threes, but it's the fact that they got so hot. Hitting a number of threes in the first quarter doesn't happen a lot. So suddenly they've got a double-digit lead, and then from there their defense is just taken over. And when you look at the Dinos being 2 for 12 from inside, from 2-point, or from at the rim, like that is just, speaking of cause for frustration, they left a lot of points out there, left some points at the free throw line, and again, you're starting to see things kind of snowball, so you just have to wonder what can they draw up here in the locker room at half that they can come out and try to get some rhythm.
33-16 Pandas lead at half. You're watching the Consolation semifinals of the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship on CBC Sports. We'll be back in 10 minutes to get you set for the second half of the Battle of Alberta between the Pandas and the Dinos.
It's that moment again, the one you dream of every night. La seule chose qui te préoccupe, c'est la gloire. Le cheminement de la réussite, of pushing yourself further than ever before. But the true glory is in the shadows. Les sacrifices que tu fais, quand toutes les chances sont contre toi. When you can't push one more second, chase the glory. Visez haut.
exchange was awesome. Yeah.
You have the power to inspire and impact the climate.
Welcome back to the Saville Community Sport Centre. Consolation semifinal number 2 between the Alberta Panthers and the Calgary Dinos. At the half, Alberta leads 33-16. 2 more quarters to go in this one. Eric, let's take a quick second to revisit our keys to the game. From the start, let's start with Calgary. They're down. They're in a big hole. They're going to have to dig themselves out. You said to play fast and hit the 3 ball, and they have struggled from 3, just 3 for 16. And that's not the entire difference in this game, but they've really been struggling with the 3 ball.
Yeah, it certainly would have a different complexion if they hit, even 30% of their threes. And to be honest with you, I do think the quality of a lot of those shots have been pretty solid, off the catch, pretty open. I think you've got to be happy with those, as frustrating as it is to be stuck at 16 points at half. But to me, it's the lack of pace that I think the Calgary coaching staff has to be like, look, we know what got us here. We know our identity, and it's playing with a tempo that they have not yet shown outside of a few possessions early.
And for Alberta, they're out 2 of their top defending guards in Kia Eastonai, Hedy Ohanma, and Morgan Harris. So, Eric, you said depth on D, and I think they've really they've been up for the task, so to speak. Really good first half defensively by the Pandas.
Yeah, that does not appear to be an issue, and pretty well defended play there, but a nice look from Cone that falls off the rim. But a decent look there. They have that little screen, the screener play, set a flex screen for a post player, and then have the guard come off a down screen. Pretty good look, but again, it's just been one of those nights so far where everything seems to be spilling off the rim.
Underway in the second half. Claire Signatovich for Alberta. Her shot doesn't fall. A rebound gobbled up by the Dinos. Here comes Pollyanna Story. Fires it to Colin. To Proctor with her back to the basket. Spins, gets it back to Story for 3. That's good. That's a big 3-point shot for Calgary. And Eric, they might have been listening to your keys to the game. They come out 1 for 1 for 3 to start the third quarter.
Yeah, and you see her just throw her hands up to the air, and that kind of universal sign for finally now forces a turnover on a little bit of a sloppy catch. And I mean, that's, if you're Alberta, you're putting your center in a pretty difficult position catching the ball there. But there for Calgary, I mean, again, they got decent looks. They didn't fall. They get another decent look, and it does. That's just the nature of the game. So I think maybe now with one to just break the seal, it could be exactly what they're looking for.
Cone, a 3. She was left wide open and 2 for 2. 2 threes in the last 10 seconds or so. Shrinks it to an 11-point lead for Alberta.
Cone's not always a particularly willing shooter. She is a very willing defender. She gets one there.
Colin, jump shot. And that's an 8-point swing for Calgary, and Alberta calls a timeout just 93 seconds in. That is a picture-perfect start for the Dinos. 8:27 left in the third quarter. You're watching the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship on CBC Sports.
The exchange was awesome. Yeah.
You have the power to inspire and impact the climate.
So an 8-0 run to open up the third quarter for the Dinos. Shrinks that lead to just 9. Scott Edwards called a timeout, didn't want to mess around. Has a couple big threes and some turnovers, and this game has a little different reflection.
Yeah, again, it looked like Calgary was just getting some of the three-point looks they were getting earlier in the first half, and in a game of variance, they already had their ice-cold stretch. Maybe they were due for some positive regression. I think if you're Scott Edwards, you just have to be very displeased with the turnovers in the backcourt. That's what you need to clean up.
Tanner to Harp. Harp with 8 points. Finds Signatovic as Story deflects it, and it's going to be Calgary ball. So Alberta having a rough start here in the third quarter. Kudos to the Dinos, keeping this interesting.
Yeah, can you believe we're already at a single-digit deficit with Calgary having the ball? I thought it was going to be a little bit of maybe going to be a slower climb, but now here's a confident Calgary team bringing themselves back into it.
Cone and Rouse. Rouse spins, finds Cone on the baseline, and Rouse gets it right back. Bopped her on the head, and here come the Pandas. Riley Semnuk with her head up. To Harp. Moves left off the glass, no good. McCusker in perfect position for the rebound. She can't finish. And here come the Dinos. Proctor for three. Short. Tanner with the rebound. Harp. Signatovic calling for it. Proctor got a piece of that. And Signatovic now loves to go up and under. Shot doesn't go, but Claire draws the foul, and she will go to the line to shoot a deuce.
Thought that play was maybe going to be destined for failure. The pass came maybe a little bit late, but still ends up in Signatovic's hands. And again, so long, she really likes that reverse layup. And when you extend that much, it's pretty easy for a defender to get you across the arm.
Signatovic, now 1 for 2 from the line. 7 points. Misses her second. And Alberta will get, the Dinos will get the ball back as Bridget Olsen picks up her first foul. That's going to go on Tanner. So a 10-point advantage for Alberta. Miriam Cone across half. Whatever Damian Jennings, head coach of the Dinos, said at halftime is working. Cone. Story. Floater is good. A really nice shot there by Pollyanna Story. Using her size to her advantage, then Emily Collin picks up a foul. You know, coaches absolutely hate fouls like that. And it will be Panda's ball.
Dangerous play from Bridget Olsen. Just turns up court and tries to dribble into the teeth of the press. I think Calgary wasn't quite prepared for it, and that's why I was a little bit late. But I thought that was going to be almost another turnover in the backcourt created by the Dinos. But you're seeing that they're definitely starting to crank up the pressure, seeing if they can get some extra possessions to claw back into this.
Harp. Jenna Harp for three. Olsen there for the rebound. Signatovic and Cone collide. And Signatovic, it's going to go against Cone. So Miriam Cone now with 3 fouls.
Again, you see this broken play in a really tough situation for Cone, a guard who's got to try to fight with Signatovic, and that's the way the fouls get picked up.
Hall, her 3 doesn't fall. Out of bounds, and it's going to be a Dinos ball. Cone turns on the Jets. Rouse goes around the arc to Story. Rouse. 3 seconds to go. Story for 3. Off the back rim. Good rebound there on offense for Calgary. Cone for 3. That one too strong. Bridget Olsen with the rebound, collides with Story. And it's going to be Panda's ball as Story picks up her first foul. Olsen to inbound, under 6 minutes remaining in the third. Olsen. Looking for help, finds Signatovic just outside the paint. Tries to split the defenders and just kind of bullies her way to the bucket. Signatovic has 9, and it's back to a double-digit lead for Alberta. Cone looking for a response. Tipped, looks like Reese Hall tipped that out of bounds. It's going to remain Calgary ball. Ella Reese is going to check back in for Alberta. And Skumatova and Gaich are going to check back in for the Dinos as well. So both teams later, as this game progresses, getting their benches more involved. Skumatova to Gaich. Rouse. Story. Rouse. Unorthodox looking shot doesn't fall. Signatovic there for the rebound. Only her second rebound of the game. Rees. Signatovic looking for help. And thought the official wouldn't catch that, but a travel. Midway through the third. Story to inbound. Gaich being watched by Olsen. Olsen picking her up full court, not giving anything easy to this Dino team. And there's the return travel for the Dinos. Lilia Skumatova, the guilty party. And a clunky middle section here of the third. Olsen. Harp. 8 points, including 5 for 5 from the free throw line. 5 seconds to go. Puts it to Signatovic. Great defense there by the Dinos, and here comes Calgary. Skumatova. Gaich directing traffic. Rouse. Nice spin there by Louise Rouse, showing why she's a first-team All-Star. And Calgary's done a good job at chipping away at this lead. They've outscored Alberta 12-3 in this third quarter. And Maya Proctor is going to get charged for her third foul away from the ball.
And that was savvy from Jenna Harp during the hand fighting, I'll say, off the ball. Did a good job to swim through and time her cut towards the ball to draw the foul. So that was Proctor not particularly happy with the foul call, but it's a veteran move there from Jenna Harp.
Harp now 6 for 6 from the line. 7 for 7. Back up to a 10-point advantage for Alberta. Gaich. Milam. Long three-pointer for Skumatova is an air ball. Proctor does her best Claire Signatovic impersonation and goes under. Nice finish there by Proctor.
That's crazy how many air balls go to the offensive team. It always just seems to be the case. And finally, Calgary, who hasn't had a lot of breaks, gets one there.
Harp does a good job to keep that in bounds. To McCusker, to Tanner. In the paint to Hall, spins, fires, and Reese Hall uses the size to her advantage. Nice pace here in the last 90 seconds or so. Teams exchanging baskets. Off the front of the rim, Reese with speed. Hall calling for it. She eventually gets it. Really nice pass there by Reese. A simple play on the ground, but her teammate was wide open.
Yeah,
and Alberta makes no mistake.
Really pushes the ball and then just kind of puts on the brakes near the free throw line, waits for the play to develop and makes a smart pass. So that was, from a young player, just a very mature play.
Rouse for three. No good. Rees there for the rebound. Harp. 2.5 remaining in the third. Up and under, and Jenna Harp draws the foul. Oh no, the offensive foul, excuse me. No basket. And she is called for the charge.
We'll get a great look at it here on the replay. Crowd doesn't agree. Kind of an interesting play where you would normally see a player receiving a charge going right back towards the rim. The angle was different, but one of the most difficult to officiate plays in basketball is always going to have a certain faction of people disappointed. But
Proctor in the corner, drills it, and that's a big swing. Cone with the steal, and that's a 5-point swing for Calgary, and almost turn it over again. 7 points. A picture perfect third quarter for the Dinos. Tanner. Underhand, no good. Rouse there for the rebound. Calgary with the momentum, down by 7. Miriam Cone, here she comes. Directing traffic, fires a dart to Proctor. That one is short. Tanner with the rebound. Harp heaves it to Rees, who finds Shea McCusker from the free throw line, off the mark. Oz there for the rebound. Cone and Rouse. Rouse moves to her right. Milam. Back to Oz, baseline, and she's called for the travel. And that's the break I think Alberta was hoping for, as Calgary can do no wrong in this third quarter.
Been a couple of punches here from the Dinos. Alberta has been able to just absorb them, and you saw there what some of these threes that have just spilled out for the Dinos. You wonder if they fell, what it would do to the tempo of this game, but so far
Tanner.
Alberta's handled the pressure such as there.
Tanner can't quite finish. Semenuk and Rouse collide, and it will be Calgary ball as Riley Semenuk picks up her first foul. Despite being up by 7, Eric, you get the sense Alberta is holding on for dear life right now.
Yeah, you do start to wonder a little bit in times like this where the offense comes from. I still think Alberta's defense has been stout, and it's taken some big plays from Calgary to get back in, but there's sometimes you just wonder where those points are going to come from.
And a foul called against the Pandas. That's going to send Calgary to the line as Claire Signatovic picks up her third foul. She was in foul trouble last night. And that will send Pollyanna Story to the line for 2 with under a minute remaining in the third. Scott Edwards having a conversation with the official. Great work there by a crew with a picture-in-picture. Watch Story knock down her first attempt. And she was 1 for 2. Signatovic in perfect position for that rebound. We've seen this a couple times this weekend. Signatovic bringing the ball up the floor. Tanner. Please give and go with Signatovic. What a finish by Jaden Tanner. And the foul. The coming out party for Jaden Tanner continues. Had her career high 13 points last night, and that's foul number 4 on Miriam Cone.
You just felt like the moment the ball left her hand, she knew she was getting it back. And you always tell your players you want them to cut so hard and cut like they know they're getting the ball every single time. And the fact of the matter is that's obviously not true. But when you play with someone like Claire Signatovic, you know if you do cut hard, she can make that pass and she's willing to get it in. So just that really decisive give and go, backdoor cut, really nice play.
Jaden Tanner 2 points away from matching her career high that she got last night. And if this were NBA Jam, we'd say she's heating up. Gaich with a lane. No good. Semenuk there for the rebound. Alberta, shot clock turned off. Here come the Pandas. Riley Semenuk. Tanner's calling for it. Olsen directing traffic. 10 seconds to go. Olsen. He's going to drive. Kicks it out. Semenuk spins, fires, and no good. And after 3 quarters, Alberta leads 45-36, but Calgary, way well out in front in that third quarter. They outscored Alberta 20-12, and that was a quarter the Dinos were hoping to get.
Yeah, it's like when you come down into at the half and you've only got 16 points and you're down by 17. I mean, you're not going to make it up with one shot, with one possession. You've got to just turn it into manageable chunks to bring back in the game. Okay, well, now it's single digits in the fourth quarter. You're starting to get something going offensively, and you know, if you know this Pandas team, you know that they're not the most explosive offense, and you did see that they started to kind of gain some confidence on the defensive end while shots weren't falling for the Pandas. So we're setting up here very nicely for what should be a pretty intense final 10 minutes.
45-36, Pandas lead. You are watching the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship on CBC Sports.
The exchange was awesome. Yeah.
You have the power to inspire and impact the climate.
One more quarter to go in the Consolation Semifinal number 2. The winner gets a date with St. Mary's tomorrow afternoon, just after 3 o'clock local time. All games available on CBC Sports and CBC Gem. We thank you for tuning in wherever you are in the country. I imagine the numbers are high, especially in the province of Alberta tonight for a Battle of Alberta. What a third quarter there for the Calgary Dinos. They outscore Alberta 20-12 and really had Alberta on their heels for the better part of that third.
Yeah, it's even funny coming out of that quarter break. It seemed like Calgary couldn't wait to get back on the floor. They broke the huddle quickly. Players got out there. They were ready to go. And with Alberta, I think it was a little bit longer on the grease board there, trying to figure out what they can do to get something going offensively, especially as things have started to slow on that end.
One more quarter to go between these two provincial rivals. Tanner's three is not going to count as Shea McCusker picks up the foul. It's her first. That wiped out what would have been a career-high shot for Jaden Tanner.
Still didn't count, but that shows just the confidence that not only she has with shooting, but, you know, coming out of the quarter break, Alberta calls a play to get her off a pin down.
Milam. Story. Gaich. From the Canada West logo to Rouse. Good ball moving here by the Dinos. Milam with momentum, can't finish. Rouse there for the offensive board. Up and under. It was a really tough shot there by Louise Rouse. It's 45-38. Signatovic hands it off to Olsen. Almost stolen by Oz. Semenuk spins to McCusker. McCusker, really nice play there to put the ball on the floor and then go up. And she's got her first points of the game. Oz. Blocked by Semenuk. Right into the hands of Tanner. And here come the Pandas with some energy. Olsen to Riley Semenuk. Tanner for three. Good! Jaden Tanner! Back-to-back nights with career high. She's got 14.
You wondered who was going to step up for the Pandas. In a game last night where they needed offense, in a game tonight where they needed depth. It's been her both times. Incredible weekend for her.
Big stop on defense by Alberta, and here they come, Riley Semenuk. Tanner is calling for it. Shea McCusker hands it back to Olsen. Olsen, and it out of bounds. It will be Dinos possession with 8:04 left in the fourth. 12-point Alberta advantage.
Cohn comes back in the game for Calgary. Just make note of the fact she has 4 fouls, and she's someone who's been really impactful on the defensive end, but might have to scale it back a little bit at a fear of picking up that 5th. But at the same time, I wonder if she's got to be aggressive and try to create turnovers like she did earlier that turn into immediate layups, because her team might need that to get back in.
Milam gets bumped. I think the official said the call is on number 15, but there's not a number 15 on the floor. So correction, that's going to go to Jaden Tanner, so she has 3 fouls. Cohn. 8 points on the night. Rouse. Off the mark, Rouse has 13 points, looking to add to it. And a bad luck play there for the Pandas, as Calgary's going to get it right back. Cohn. Collan. Back to Cohn. Miriam Cohn's 3, too strong. Signatovic there for the rebound. Riley Semenuk. Harp. McCusker's calling for it, size mismatch. Tanner. Bit of a heat check moment there by Jaden Tanner, and here come the Dinos with numbers. Poke loose by Semenuk. Hall ends up with it. Strong pass to Jaden Tanner. Tries to split the defender. Signatovic being watched by Story. And a great job there by Signatovic to draw that foul, and she will go to the line. Signatovic at the line, 1 for 3 tonight. Signatovic gets to double-digit points. And she goes 2 for 2. Signatovic 3 for 5 from the line, 11 points on the evening. Restores a 14-point lead for Alberta. Cohn. Rouse. Called for the travel. So Alberta ratcheting up the pressure on defense, forcing these turnovers.
And it just seems like so many of these non-steal turnovers are just a symptom of an offense that's really struggled. Indecision, she catches the ball, kind of surveys a little bit in the feet shuffle. It seems like that's been the case on so many of these turnovers.
Riley Semenuk for 3. That misses to the right. Story there for the rebound, finds Colin, and she heaves it down the floor to Cohn. What a pass, just maybe a little too strong for Cohn. Rouse spins, and that will send her to the line as a foul is called. Jaden Tanner holding, as Tanner appears to be in a little rough shape, holding her nose.
Yeah, you can see there on that replay, caught it there, getting hit in the face. That's about the worst feeling in the world when you get smoked that hard in the nose and the eyes start to water right away. So, well, didn't see any blood. We'll hope she can get back in the game shortly, because as we mentioned so many times on the broadcast, she has been very, very important to the Pandas.
Rouse at the line for 2. goes 2 for 2. 12-point advantage for Alberta. Riley Semenuk and Reese Hall, 2-on-1. Jenna Harp for 3. Short. Cone there for the rebound. Cone has 6. And she's been all over the floor tonight for the Dinos. Story. Rouse. Proctor. Nice dish to Colin. She makes a finish, so the Dinos hanging around, down by 10, under 6 minutes remaining.
What a pass by Proctor. That was a tight window, and she put it in a spot only her teammate could get.
And a blocking foul called. Pollyanna Story. That's going to be foul number 3. And timeout called. 5:44 remaining in the fourth. Alberta leads by 10. And we'll take a look at some of the highlights from earlier in this game, as these two teams are quite familiar with one another. Alberta victorious in the Canada West quarterfinal. But of course, about 3 hours difference between these two programs. Alberta, 33% from 3. Again, a story that it's been this turn. None of these teams are really shooting very well. Alberta, 31%, 33 from 3, but Calgary really struggling. 15 for 54 from the field and 6 for 27 from 3. Lots of turnovers. Alberta has the rebound margin. But really a back and forth game. Alberta has led the entire game, but Calgary's not going away quietly.
Yeah, there's still lots of game here, but even as we just look back in a 10-point game with just under 6 remaining, it's hard not to look at that first quarter where there's only 7 points for Calgary, and they were also stuck on 7 well into the second. You just have to wonder if they started off maybe making a couple more shots or even keeping Alberta from the big run they had in the first quarter. This could be a very different story, as like you said, it really has been a pretty tightly contested game since the middle of the second quarter, but again, you get that early jump at home, and I think that was maybe the energy for the Panthers playing at home, playing with the buzz of the fans around them, but that's really been the difference. It's been pretty tight after that.
Timeout is over. 5:44 remaining in the fourth. The winner of this game will take on St. Mary's tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. And then semifinal Saturday. Well, our first semifinal of two teams that are very familiar with one another. Carleton will take on Queens. And in the late semifinal, the number 1 seed Saskatchewan Huskies will take on the Laval Rouge et Or, who defeated Alberta last night, and an offensive foul called against Alberta. Reese Hall picks up her third, so Panda's getting into a bit of foul trouble here late in the fourth.
And that's battling inside, gets the elbow up a little bit. And
some good news for the University of Alberta on the other hard court. They have won the Canada West Championships in volleyball. So another banner. Congratulations to all the volleyball crew. It's been a very busy weekend here at the U of A. And we'll see what the call is here.
Yeah, that'll be Bridget Olsen pushing in the back a little bit on a ball that was probably going to go out of bounds and be in possession of the Pandas. So that is a little bit of a break maybe for Calgary, but it does look like it was a foul.
Call in at the line. Gets her first attempt.
Great look here. Maybe a little bit, actually, just unfortunate for Olsen, kind of staying locked up there. And
Calgary sticking around this one. They will get possession. Down by 9, and a technical foul called against Scott Edwards.
And that's a rare one for him, Mark. I know you've done a lot of Alberta games over the last couple of years, and I'd have to describe Scott Edwards as more mild-mannered than a lot of coaches, but that's just a number of out-of-bounds calls, whether it be fouls or just who it's off of, that he has not felt were properly officiated, and I think the crowd's yelling out, "Ball don't lie," as we get a great look at that one. And I think that the replay there might have had a little better look at the play than Scott Edwards did, but that was a game of frustration building up for him.
I've been around this program for, I believe, 8 years, and I think that's the second technical foul I've seen Coach Edwards take in my time.
Wow.
So his team responds, though, as the free throw is missed, and they get a big stop on defense and see if they can get some points. Up by 9. Harp. Riley Semenuk. Good ball moving here. Signatovic with space, goes up and under. And Signatovic has 13 points to match the number on her jersey. Puts Alberta back up by 11. Colin. Out of bounds. A foul called. And that's going to go against Louise Rouse. So the foul's starting to pile up here in the fourth quarter. Rouse picks up her second. Everyone on the floor for the Dinos has at least 2 fouls. Miriam Cohn's been playing pretty well with 4 fouls. I thought we'd maybe see her slow up, but she's still playing at a pace that she's played all season. Signatovic is going to hand it off to Harp. 6 to go. Hall, fake, drives, off the glass, no good, tipped right into the hands of Louise Rouse. 4 minutes to go, Alberta leads by 11. Cohn. Colin. Story. Rouse, excuse me. Up and under, called for the travel. She didn't travel, she's gonna meet the palm of Claire Signatovic.
So when the ball gets entered in the post there, most teams in the country are setting a double team. Look at the way that the Panthers are defending. No one moves away from the ball. They are saying we trust Claire Signatovic to guard one-on-one. They're not allowing that play to turn it into a 3. And again, that's where I think that Claire Signatovic has been so impactful defensively, where everyone else on the floor is like, we are not leaving shooters. We are trusting her to go one-on-one.
Reigning U Sports Defensive Player of the Year back-to-back for Claire Signatovic. Nice dish there as Rouse can't finish, however she is fouled. As Reese Hall picks up foul number 4. So now Reese will have to play a little bit more conservative as they're going to look at the steal.
Really nice by Proctor there, timing out her stunt on the dig down. I've been loving the picture-in-picture view, getting to see those replays alongside the free throws. Very nice job by our broadcast team all weekend so far.
Rouse goes 2 for 2. So the Dinos still hanging around, down by 9. Olsen. Miscommunication there as that goes out of bounds, and the Dinos are going to call timeout with 3:10 left. Down by 9, still very much in this ball game.
Getting close to that kind of use it or lose it here coming into the final 2 minutes. So worth noting, that now both teams will have 2 timeouts each remaining. So you know, watching at home, and you do wonder if every single one of those could end up being used, and you do wonder at this point whether it be creating steals with the full court pressure or just kind of heating up the Pandas there, where the ball pressure really forced a long pass that ended up being a turnover. I am starting to wonder if the 9-point deficit at this point, if you're the Dinos, you're looking at how tough offense has come. You wonder if maybe the only way to really bring this one back is going to be the pressure that has been so successful. So I'm going to look for something pretty aggressive here defensively.
I am usually anti the wave, but the wave is going quite strong here in the Saville Community Sport Centre. It didn't look like it took much to get it going. Again, kudos to the Pandas alumni. And it looked like it died. No, just when you think it's dead, it gains momentum again. So the crowd is still into this one. 3:10 remaining. Alberta leads by 9. Are you pro or con the wave?
I am generally on the side of the wave not during live play is okay. You know, a couple of rotations here during a timeout. I like it. I'm glad everyone stopped for the action.
I agree. Executed to perfection
very
by the
nicely
fans here
done.
in attendance. Proctor, 3 minutes remaining. 9-point advantage for Alberta. Cone. Up, too strong. Tipped. Rouse gets the rebound. He's going to fight with Hall. And it will remain Dinos' ball.
That was a very impressive offensive rebound in traffic by Rouse. Just high-pointed that ball, kept it alive. Every possession is so valuable at this point.
Cone to Colin. Olsen goes flying by and gets right back. Great play by Olsen. Never out of it. And then Hall and Proctor fight for it, and it's going to be Panda's ball. Really good effort there by Bridget Olsen. .2:42 remaining. Signatovic looking for help, decides to bring it up the floor herself. Harp. As Let's Go Pandas chant starts to reverberate through the Saville. Olsen. Harp, 5 seconds to go in the shot clock. 3. Gets it up, off the glass, off the rim. Great effort there by Harp. Her team still leads by 9 and a foul called. And that will send Calgary to the line. Riley Semenuk picks up her second.
Last thing you want if you're the Pandas is to foul in that situation. Let Calgary get to the free throw line. If you're trying to get back in the game, putting up points when the clock is stopped, that's exactly what you need. So not a foul that the Pandas can afford too many more of.
As the Dinos sticking around. Amy Lee Collin hits her first attempt. Gets her second. 54-47, Alberta leads. Harp. Nice pick set by Reese Hall as Collin goes tumbling. And foul called. That's going to send the Pandas to the line. As the horn did go, so a bit of confusion.
Yeah, shot clock never started on, or didn't start in time, I should say. It ran out. You could see that was the horn from the shot clock not resetting. But yeah, a little bit of a broken play between this. Now we're just making sure the time on the clock is correct. So the shot clock is actually not working at all.
Okay,
that was not operator error. And I mean, we should point out we have had an excellent crew at the table this weekend. These are all highly rated officials that could very well be on the court, but they are working the table. So for there to be a shot clock issue, we kind of should have known it was something technical and not user error. But with 2 minutes left, I mean, I think this is maybe an unofficial timeout that Calgary is very, very happy to be getting.
Absolutely. Good look at some of the fans in attendance. Great to see the next generation of hoop stars in attendance. No, Edmonton last hosted this event back in the year 2001. Hopefully you don't have to wait another 23 years to host it again, as I thought Edmonton's done a tremendous job with this. Kudos to everyone here at the University of Alberta. I know Explore Edmonton's been a big part of this as well. Now the scoreboard is just shut off itself, so some confusion.
Yeah, I think the old unplug it and plug it back in approach, technically speaking, was utilized.
Shout out to the IT department. Did you try power cycling it, turning it off and on?
But you know, having men's nationals a couple of years ago was spectacular. Really, everything was taken to another level here for the women's championship. Whether it be production-wise, here in the building with the LED screens, and a tremendous sound system, which might be coming across on the broadcast for sure. But everything has been taken up to another level here for the women's Final 8. And as you were talking earlier, Mark, about Alberta winning a volleyball championship, you wonder if maybe some of those events could come here as well. So I just can't say enough about the team here at the University of Alberta, who's just made this such a professional operation, and just an absolute joy for me to come and get to help on the call.
They get a look at Kia Isnai-Hedi-Ohanna, as well as Morgan Harris. And a couple other of the Pandas players on the bench. It looks like we figured, oh, no, the shot clock turned off again. It was working. It is now off again. However, Jenna Harp's at the line for 2. She's got 10 points, 2:06 remaining.
And it looks like we're going ahead with action despite the shot clock and might not being on. It's really unfortunate. This is a tight game with 2 minutes left. We don't want to be speaking too much about shot clock. And there it is, back in action.
We're back, baby. Jenna Harp misses her first 2 of the evening, and Calgary still very much in this game. Down by 7. Under 2 minutes remaining. Stories 3. Wide. Signatovic there for the rebound. Finds Olsen. Turns on the Jets. Olsen. Fires it to Signatovic. Harp for 3. Off the marks. It's Riley Semenuk with the rebound. I think Alberta's content just to drain some clock here. Olsen gets by 2 Dinos. Too strong. Cone. Moves it quickly to Story. Picked off by Harp. And she just stands in position like a defensive back, getting an interception, and she draws a foul. And that's going to be number 3 on Emily Collin. And that will send Harp back to the line with 1:04 remaining.
I think this, if you're Calgary, this is where you start to say, okay, who are the worst free throw shooters on the floor for Alberta, and turn this one into a fouling game, maybe earlier than people think. And again, something that's always talked about in basketball are need a 3 situations. Is it too early to need a 3? I think at this point you're going to start to need to go aggressively after steals. If it's a foul, so be it, and then on the other end start launching.
Jenna goes 2 for 2, restores a 9-point advantage for the Pandas, and the Dinos call timeout with 1:04 left. Calgary's season is 1:04 away from ending.
They've had success in this game earlier, creating turnovers, not just creating turnovers with the press, but turning those into instant points, whether it be threes or when Miriam Cohn just picked off her who she was guarding, and it turned into an immediate layup. So you know that they have some of that ability to start trapping aggressively, and they've shown it all year long. So this is the time where, hey, all season long they were excellent with pressure, excellent turning over their opponents. Well, for the next minute and 4 seconds, they're going to need to play some of their most inspired full court pressure of the entire year.
And if you're the Pandas, just hold on. Hold on, extend your season by 1 more day, playing in front of your home fans.
And I mean, if you're Alberta and Calgary's not fouling you or trapping, I really think the Pandas did well in the last couple of possessions to be content to take the shot clock down to 2 or 3 more seconds or left, and just taking a shot and being content to burn that much off the clock. Like, they can be as patient as they want as long as Calgary isn't pushing things. But man, right now, do Calgary need a bucket? Under
a minute remaining in the 4th. Alberta leads by 9. Cone chucks up a 3. It's good. And she's got a chance for the 4-point play. Eric, you said they needed a bucket, and they have a chance to get 4 right here.
So, again, they run this screen, the screener action where, look, you see that screen or kind of that fake screen about to be set by Cone, but it's actually a pin out for her. If you're Alberta, you have to be anticipating a play for 3, and instead it's a late closeout that turns into a 4-point play. And wow, when the Dinos have really struggled to get to 51, 4 points is a whole lot. So what a dream scenario. And to get it so quickly, only a couple seconds into that sideline out of bounds. So man, that is full credit to Coach Jennings and his staff for being able to get something generated so quickly. And I think right now, you're obviously talking about your press, but I think it's also, hey, what are we running on the other end? Let's do that again.
5-point lead for the Pandas. They call timeout. Holding on. .6 seconds remaining. And the crowd is still very much into this. Been treated to an entertaining game between these two provincial rivals. Again, just a reminder, tomorrow all games on CBC Gem starting at 3 o'clock Mountain Time. The Consolation Final, St. Mary's awaits the winner of this. And we have semifinal Saturday as Carleton will battle Queens and Saskatchewan will take on Laval. Alberta has led wire to wire in this game, but Calgary's keeping things interesting. Riley Semenuk to inbound, finds Harp. Foul called.
See, tough situation here with Cone on the floor because Cone was closest to the ball handler. She can't foul or doesn't want to foul because she has 4. So maybe even a little surprised to see her on the floor in a intentional foul situation, but still got that foul pretty quickly, and now it's up to Harp to knock him down.
Yeah, there are 4 players on the floor right now that have 4 fouls. Cone, Colin for Calgary, and Hall and Harp have 4 fouls. Jenna Harp hits the biggest free throws of the night so far, and another timeout called by Calgary. Their last timeout, down by 7. So the Pandas 55.6 seconds away for a date with St. Mary's. Calgary looking to say not so fast. Eric, this has been a pretty exciting game back and forth. You know, Alberta got off to that great start in the first quarter, up 20-7, but full marks for this Dino team for clawing back.
Oh, it's been tremendous as I try to get a look in on the grease board to see what Calgary might be running here, but really treated to a special game here. And I think this is what postseason basketball is all about. Things are very seldom going to go 100% right. You know there's going to be adversity, and it's really tough to win a bunch of games in a row playing the same style and having things go the right way. And this is not really the style that either team wants to be playing. Both teams usually want to get up and down and put a lot of points on the board, but it's been the defense that's really been executing the best so far, and you know, the adjustments have been made, especially from Calgary. Calgary had a really tough start to this game and has just steadily clawed their way back, but now it's time to see if they have any magic left.
Certainly doesn't feel like a consolation semifinal way this game has been played. Every shot's been contested. Now we got to watch as both teams in foul trouble. As Calgary catches a bit of a break, they get to do it again with 13 seconds on the shot clock. They lead by 7. Cone to inbound. Story almost loses it. Cone stumbles, regains possession, chucks up a 3. That's good. Miriam Cone, red hot. She's got 17 points. Hall's got to move fast. Harp fouled by Story. So we're going to see lots of fouls back and forth. Story picks up her 4th foul, and Jenna Harp at the line. Harp 11 for 13, has 14 points, tied with Jaden Tanner for a team high.
Cone is an absolute gamer. Has the huge 4-point play just a few possessions before. It looked like this play was completely breaking down. She takes matters into her own hands and just creates something out of nothing. 2 massive shots.
Harp goes 2 for 2 again, so 4 for 4 in the last minute or so. Put her team back up by 6. 40 seconds. Cone, is she gonna try another 3? Moves to her right. And a foul called, and that's going to go against Jenna Harp. She knew it right away. She mouthed, "I'm out." And that's going to do it for tonight. For an Alberta supporter, you hope that doesn't matter. But Jenna's night is done as Jaden Tanner's going to sub in.
It's always a tough play, just running into the screener, especially in a situation where you kind of know that Calgary's going for a 3 at all costs, and you even wonder if maybe that is a decent outcome for the Alberta defense, though the first free throw is knocked down.
Louise Rouse goes 2 for 2. Alberta holding on to their one timeout. 31.9 seconds remaining as Rouse fouls Signatovic. So that's going to be 4 on Rouse, and Signatovic will go to the line. Not really known for her free throw shooting, but 3 for 5 tonight.
Smile on her face as she walks to the free throw line, so I don't think the pressure's getting to her too much. But still, throughout her career, not, like you mentioned, not a tremendous free throw shooter, but we'll see if she can make the big ones.
First one doesn't fall. Looking to make it a 5-point game. Remember, Calgary is out of timeouts. Big shot there for Signatovic, puts it back up to 5. Calgary has to move. Cone turns on the Jets, can't finish. Signatovic there for the rebound, fouled again by Proctor. And that's going to send Signatovic back to the line.
That'll also make a nice round number for you watching at home. Now every player on the Dinos that is on the floor right now for the Dinos has 4 fouls, which means if it does get into a situation where they can't make a sub and need to have a foul here, it's going to be the end of someone's night.
Signatovic hits her first one. 6-point advantage for Alberta. Claire goes 2 for 2. Calgary really going to have to move now. Cone. Step back, Rouse. Nice dish to Rouse. If you're Alberta, you don't want to foul. Call in. Story for 3. Good! 4-point advantage for Alberta. And the Pandas call timeout with 8.8 seconds remaining. Ahead by 4.
The shot making has just been incredible for the Dinos down the stretch. I think at some point there might be some Calgary fans watching this wondering where was this in the first quarter? Where was this in the second quarter? But man, when the lights are the brightest, there's some players just making huge plays. And while you don't want to nitpick a possession that ended with a huge 3, it did take a lot of time. And with 8.8 seconds remaining, and again, as we've mentioned, no more timeouts for Calgary, which more importantly than calling a play would be to even advance the ball. So they can't do that anymore. So whatever happens next, the time is starting to really run out. So you wonder if you just go all out in a situation like this, try to pressure that first pass, and so you can get a steal. This is it's going to be a lot of possessions needed here in 8.8 seconds, but hey, with them making threes like they've been able to, a number of players, there could be some magic left.
8.8 seconds left, 63-59, Alberta leads. Tanner to inbound. And all 5 Dinos have 4 fouls. They need a miracle. Olsen gives it back to Tanner. Tanner's going to run away, and a foul called. Emily Collin, her night is finished. She picks up her 5th foul. That will send Jaden Tanner to the line. 14 points, a career high.
I think when you think about really important plays drawn up by coaches, you think about the big play for a 3 when you need it, or that really pretty backdoor play out of a timeout for a layup. But that was a really nice play by Alberta to get a really clean entry on the zipper entry to the middle of the floor. Then you get that quick pitch back to Tanner, and she got to play keep away for 3.8 seconds, which is an eternity when there was only 8.8 left. So again, not anything you're going to put on a highlight reel, but really good job by the coaching staff at Alberta there.
And Jaden drills both of those, and that should do it. Cone heaves up a 3, and that is it. Alberta with a 65 59 victory over their rivals, the Calgary Dinos. Alberta ended Calgary's Canada West campaign, and now they end their bid at the U Sports Final 8 Women's Basketball Championship. It was close, but in the end, Alberta led wire to wire, and they will play in the Consolation Final tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, it was really that first 10 minutes of the game that really decided the game, and I think that's just something for Alberta, the way that their defense can kind of just hold things once they got an initial lead. That's what they have to be really happy with. And again, we've said it a number of times and we'll say it again, down 2 very key guards from a defensive standpoint, and it didn't matter. So just full credit to the depth of the backcourt of the Pandas here to just step up, and it didn't seem like anyone was missing a beat, and to hold a really good Calgary team to 59 points, one that can really put up points in a hurry, as we saw in the final moments. It's an effort that Coach Scott Edwards is going to be really happy with.
We'll see some players of the game, and I believe we're going to be joined by Jenna Harp post-game. I've mentioned a couple times, it's so great to see the alumni so involved this weekend. Miriam Cohn, player of the game for the Calgary Dinos, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 for 9 from 3, including that 4-point play. Cohn's been a really fun player to watch this week. I'm excited to see the growth and development she has in Canada West. A third-team All-Star this year. I think the sky's the limit for her.
Absolutely, and to see the way that she stepped up when her team absolutely needed it with 2 gigantic shots, was impactful defensively the whole game. She's going to have a special career.
Claire Signatovich picks up player of the game for the Pandas. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and a couple blocks. Adding to her impressive weekend, bringing home Canada West Defensive Player of the Year, U Sports Player of the Year back-to-back, a real leader on this team. And she's got unfinished business next year, 1 more season with the Pandas.
And again, I know we spotlighted it on one play, but I think her defense was so impactful. The way that she was able to take away the paint, whether on drives or whether in one-on-one post-up situations. We talked a lot about the guards defensively making things uncomfortable for the Dinos, but I really think it started as well with that interior defensive Signatovich.
You see both teams shaking hands. They've played each other a lot over the last couple of years. One of the best traditions in sports is the handshake. Damian Jennings and his team have a lot to be proud of. Ran into a buzzsaw yesterday. And we're going to be joined by Jenna Harp here, who had 16 points, but 13 of those coming on free throws. Let's see if she's going to be able to weasel her way through his little tight quarters. A little different than what we've been used to. She's able to get her way through here. Jenna, thanks for joining us. Sorry that it's so tight up here. I'm glad you're able to weasel your way through here. So your team's victorious tonight. You get a 65-59 victory. First off, was it tricky to get up for this game? Obviously, it's not the result you're hoping for last night, but how was it to get your team motivated for tonight's game?
Honestly, it was all of our alumni sitting over there. They have put their heart and soul in cheering for us yesterday, and they just care for us endlessly, so we wanted to show up for them and show up for me and Shay as seniors. We just wanted to get through this game, and we didn't want to end on a bad note. So.
In that first quarter, your team was up 20-7. You've been a staunch defensive team all season. It felt like that first quarter really set the tone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, for sure. We just tried to come out firing and just running to get the nerves out and to just get back to who we are. So, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned alumni. You're so right. They've been unbelievable all season they've been around. What does it mean for you to be a Panda? You mentioned your time is coming to an end. How important is this alumni, and has it been to you your entire career here?
Honestly, their support I feel like is like no other. I don't know of any other school that has a big alumni like that would come and cheer for us. So like, I don't know, it means the world, and to finish my career on home court in front of my friends and family and all that alumni honestly means the world. So.
And lastly, how cool does he get one more game? You mentioned Shea McCusker, your fellow graduating senior. What's it going to mean to play one more game here in front of the home fans?
For sure. I think it's just about going out the way like we want to. So like we didn't have that first game win that we wanted, but we get to come back and fight hard and play for each other and just try to end our career on a positive note.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to get a chance to talk to you tomorrow, but I do want to say it's been a pleasure to call your games all 5 seasons. Watching the growth and maturity you've made, it's been my pleasure. I've had the best seat in the house to watch your career. So best of luck. I hope you're one of the alumni that comes back to root on your teams. It's been a real pleasure to call your games.
Yes, thank you so much.
Jenna Harp, 16 points for the Pandas to go along with 4 rebounds and 2 assists. Her team was victorious, 65-59. We'll bring in Eric Fawcett to wrap things up here. It's a little tight here, but Eric, what'd you make of that effort by the Pans tonight? They get one more game in front of the home fans.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it starts and where I'm excited to be able to do this again. The fact that there is the home fans and the atmosphere that was in this building was electric, and you hope that that's the case for all U Sports games moving forward. So I thought that they played an inspired game, particularly on the defensive end, and while they gave up some of the big shots at the end that really cranked up the total from what could have been a pretty impressive low point total allowed. But again, that was a program win when you can lose 2 very valuable defensive guards to injury, and it's just next up, don't miss a beat, play the identical style, don't have to change up what you're doing. Like, that's a program win to me, and that's something that they've got to be really happy with.
Well, this rivalry is not going anywhere anytime soon. Calgary is going to bring back the bulk of their roster, as are the Pandas. This is something we got to get used to. These 2 teams love to go back and forth one another, and something tells me we'll see these 2 teams meet again in the Canada West playoffs in 2025.
In my opinion, let's hope so.
Absolutely. On behalf of our incredibly hardworking broadcast crew here at the Saville Community Sport Centre, on behalf of Eric Fawcett, my name is Mark Majot. Thank you for spending part of your Friday evening with us. Reminder, we are back here tomorrow afternoon, the Consolation Final at 3 o'clock. The Pandas will take on St. Mary's, and then semifinal Saturday gets going at 6 o'clock local time. Visit betheroar.ca for full tournament details. All games available on CBC Gem. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.